Hello, I'm Katherine Murphy, the moderator for this League of Women Voters candidate interview. I'm joined by Susie Weis, who's running for Parks and Recreation District 1, Commissioner 1. The ground rules for this event were shared earlier with Susie and are posted in the description below. The interview consists of an opening statement followed by 3 questions and a closing statement. All candidates running for this position were invited to be interviewed. And so, Susie, let's get started, and you have 60 seconds for your opening remarks.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Susie Weis. I've lived in the Upper County for approximately 45 years. I have 3 sons, 2 of which live in the Upper County, Jared and Nolan, and 4 grandchildren that live in the Upper County. And I have a vested interest in the future of the Upper County. I've been involved with parks in the area. I helped develop the playground in the Roslyn area, and I also helped develop the Y Park in Cle Elum. I firmly feel that parks are a reflection of a community, and I think that it's something that you're always looking at to maintain and develop because it's a place for children and families and visitors alike to come and enjoy your community. And I really think that there's so much that we could do for our community, including the swimming pool, which is a really big issue.
Thank you. So here's the first question. Please describe the Parks and Recreation District 1 and what is the biggest challenge it faces? And you have 90 seconds.
Well, I think as far as the park and recs, I think that from what I understand, that it's about developing and maintaining our parks, and it's also about like the one of the big thing that they work on is the snow park, which is for snowmobilers. Um, but the biggest challenge that I see facing is it's not funded. So it's, they haven't ran a tax levy. And so that creates an issue for being able to actually work on different things. And one of those big issues is a public swimming pool. And I'm very adamant about swimming because it's something that is so needed for the children and for adults in this area. But funding it is going to be a huge challenge. And so that's kind of my big passion is to look for ways that we can fund a public swimming pool without having too much of a burden on the taxpayers to be able to have a place for family and children to learn how to swim and enjoy the summer, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, do you support a district partnership with Upper Kittitas County Community Recreation Center Alliance to create a community center adjacent to Cle Elum Roslyn schools? And as you answer why or why not, you have 90 seconds.
That issue is kind of an interesting issue because I firmly believe that a swimming pool should be incorporated into the physical education program of our public education. It was for me as a person growing up in back east in Iowa, and it was an integrated part of my education was having swimming on a regular basis and learning how to swim at a very young age. And so this alliance, I think, can be a very positive one. But I've worked on a lot of nonprofits and I've organized nonprofits, and it's all key on who is actively involved in that nonprofit. So that to me is a big factor is the people who are involved in the nonprofit and what funding that they go for as far as grants and other government funding sources, which I'm actually meeting with Laura Oshadish, the Commissioner Laura Oshadish, to investigate different government funding sources that could help us facilitate the cost of a public swimming pool. But I firmly believe that it should be part of our public education program. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last question here is, What can the district do to make its trails accessible to residents with physical challenges? And you have 90 seconds.
That's a very interesting question because that's a big challenge. There's lots of things that we could do, but it all goes back to funding and how do we. But there are funding sources for those people with physical needs, and my family's a big property owner around here, and we have trails that the bicyclists use, and I'm a hiker, and I think that one of the things that could be done which would be very advantageous to people with physical handicaps is having specific trails that are, because we have lots of trails in the area, but having specific trails that are geared for people that have accessibility issues. And but that's a very interesting perspective or issue. But again, it goes back to funding, and since this is the Park and Rec district is currently non-funded, it does make an issue to be able to even consider it. We can plan on it, we can work towards it, and we can research for grants for it. But it's something that it should be considered because everybody should have the opportunity to enjoy the great outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's time for your closing statement, and you have 60 seconds.
Well, I'm going to ask that you consider me to be on the Park and Recs Commission because I'm very passionate about parks. I am very passionate about physical activity. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to be an aerobic instructor. I've coached baseball. I've been very active and involved in different community events, chairing Pioneer Days and several different events in the area. And I just firmly believe that our parks are a reflection of our community, and that the more that we can maintain our parks and beautify our parks and add to our parks, the more it will have an impact on our community as far as tourism goes, and as far as the benefits to the families and the children and anybody who wants to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie Weis, for participating in this interview and for offering to serve our community as Parks and Recreation District Commissioner 1 in District 1. For those watching, remember to check votewa.gov to be sure you are registered to vote. All interviews will be linked in the Kittitas County League's voter guide, which can be found at kittitasleague.org. Thank you for voting in this election.